Hey, this is Meredith's husband. I've got some SEO advice for you, but I'm going to keep it really simple so that you can understand it, so it makes sense, and most importantly, so you can actually use it. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. I'm not, but let's do it anyway.
Let's do it.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Okay.
Quick episode today about something that we are actually dealing with, something that we're doing for your photography that I thought I was planning on doing anyway as an episode, but it seemed to be appropriate since we're actually going through it ourselves right now.
Yes, we are going through it, people.
Yeah. Well, let's not make it that dramatic. I mean, we're basically in the middle of summer vacation, so we haven't had episodes for a few weeks.
Yeah,
we'll be back in a couple weeks. We just went on a trip. We have some photos.
We did.
We want to put them online.
Yes.
But we don't want other people using them.
Yeah.
Right.
And we don't want to give away the rights to them.
Correct. Now, this is not technical legal rights. Like there is a process. If you have images on your site and you're like, these are really property of my photography business, and if anybody uses them, I want to be able to like demand money from them immediately, then you need to have those images copyrighted.
Okay. And are we going to get into how do we do that?
Well, that's a legal thing. I would advise, if you want to do that, to probably contact a lawyer. Just want to jump in and reiterate that thought. The advice that we give here in this episode is not a legal solution to this at all. For that, you'll definitely need to talk to a lawyer. This is just to prove between two individuals, if there's some sort of argument about who or where an image came from, this will help in that situation. I have done that for the images that you have on the main portion of your website. I do that every couple of years because it used to be that images got stolen like that all the time, and other photographers around the world would claim that they're their own.
Yeah, thank you.
And that wasn't good, in addition to many other places that I found them. That doesn't seem as that doesn't happen as often as it used to. But we still want to, for our lesser images, so you can't do that for every single image you create. As a photographer, you're going to have blog images, you're going to have social media images. That costs time, or it costs money, and it requires time on your end.
Yeah.
It's not expensive, but it's like every time you want to copyright an image, I don't know what the cost is. It's like $10. I don't know, but there's money per image. And it took me lots of hours to organize that with a lawyer.
Thank you.
But so that's legal protection. What we're talking about here is not legal protection. This is not legal advice. This is more just kind of common sense advice.
I only play a lawyer on TV.
Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you a little bit. So again, this is not legal advice. If you want legal protection,
seek a lawyer.
You got to speak with a lawyer. Yes. But this has happened to me. This has happened to me at least once. I once built a website for a lawyer, for a legal firm. And whenever this was years ago, but when I do this, I would go and make a snapshot of what their website looked like before I did any work on it. Mm-hmm. Because what can happen is you build the website, and let's say you move over all those images, all the images that are on their existing site. Yeah. I create a new site, but I use a lot of the existing images that they had. So what potentially happens, and what did happen in this situation, is years later, this lawyer which is weird, but it was a legal website, had taken images that they didn't pay for and were using them on their site. So years later, they come back and somebody says, you need to take we're going to sue you. You need to take these down. That lawyer immediately said, I'm sorry.
Great.
Meredith's husband did that.
Let's try that again.
No, we'll just bleep that out.
Oh, you'll beep it? Okay.
Yeah. So what that lawyer did is immediately said, that was Meredith's husband. I had nothing to do. He chose all those images. It's his fault, and he is legally responsible. And there was a whole bunch of back and forth email. And then I pointed to this snapshot that I had made, and I'll show you, this is what we're going to talk about, how to do this. I pointed to this snapshot of what her website looked like before I even touched it, before we signed an agreement or anything, and it had those images.
Oh, snap.
Immediately, the lawyer stopped she never contacted me again. It just the problem was solved as far as I was concerned. I don't know what happened. And like I said, this is not legal. This is not, those images were not copyrighted. I didn't do anything like that, but this is kind of common sense. And this, person and a lawyer at that thought, okay, this is going to be a tough case for me to make, that it was Meredith's husband's fault that he went and found those images when here's a snapshot of my website before. So this is kind of like I said.
How smart you are.
Right. Nobody does. Okay. Except me.
And
so this I think is common sense. It's not full-blown legal protection, but it's a good thing to do if you have images that you take and you want to put on a blog post. If you like your personal images like we are doing, and we want to kind of put them online, but we certainly don't want anybody else, because we might, who knows what we will do with these in the future.
Right.
We certainly don't want to have to battle anyone else, claiming that there are images.
Right.
And if this ever were to go to court again, I don't know what would happen, but it's kind of a common sense safety approach. So
okay. And
here's what you do.
Okay.
When you have images, so you're going to have like 100 plus, couple hundred images.
Yeah. Let's just say 300 images.
Okay. What we'll do is we'll create a blog post. So your site is on WordPress.
Yeah.
Similar process if you're on Squarespace, but you create a blog post and you just put a bunch of images on it. Mm-hmm. I would say don't put 300 images on a single blog post. It's going to be way too big. The images don't need to be high resolution. They just need to be able to be identified as like, hey, yes, that is that image in question.
Right.
So just dump those images on that blog post. Mm-hmm. You don't need any text. You don't need anything. Just like a grid, just like Instagram,
with a
like
date?
free. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Just put them on there. What I would do is password protect this blog post, so that it's not going to be visible to anyone who tries to get here.
Okay.
We don't want to have it. We don't want to have people arriving on this page from Google,
right?
For example.
Right.
So once you have that blog post, you're going to go to a website called web.archive.org.
And the dots are actual dots, not the word dot.
Yes, correct. That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
You'll need to create an account. Accounts are free.
Yeah.
But once you do that, what you can do here is, when you first go to this site, you'll see there's a search bar. If you search for a URL, it'll give you a snapshot of that URL throughout history.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
it's a very cool tool. But what we want to do is we want to sign up for an account, and then we're going to give it a URL to go visit and make a snapshot of. That URL is the blog post that you just made with all those images. But what we want to do first, just before you take this step with web.archive.org, remove the password so that anybody can reach it. Otherwise, their tool will not be able to access it because there's a password. So remove the password for just a few minutes. Go to the archive tool, make a snapshot of that page. It will save it. I think you can create folders and stuff in there. But all you need to do is get a snapshot of that page. So it will capture the whole page. Then you can turn your password back on. Now, in our case, we'll have multiple blog posts. We have 300 images. I would say probably don't want to put more than like 50-ish images on a single blog post. Okay. So we'll have like 6 pages to do. And we can name them however we want. I would probably call them just like, have a blog post called images. That would be what we call a parent blog post. Underneath that would be like, the date of our trip or something. So your URL would literally be meredith'sphotography.com/blog/images/ and then the date. Doesn't really, it doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter what the URL is. That's just the way that I'm planning to do it. Okay. So once that is done, that's it. You can go back and log into your archive.org profile at any time and find that snapshot. And if you ever have a issue with this image, you can send them. You can
one
send
of the images
people,
on the page.
You can send them a snapshot, and the snapshot will have the date, and it will have so nobody is going to be able to point to that image and prove that it was published earlier than you're publishing it.
And so we have to do this before we publish it on social media.
Yeah, do this before you post it anywhere. Okay. Now, again, as a photographer, you're going to be creating and publishing a lot of images. You don't need to do this for every single image.
Okay.
But if you have images that you know are more important to you than others, like these are our personal
Right.
trip photos.
Yeah,
Like,
but so
if you
are
have,
pictures of, families that I shoot.
Yeah,
Those are super important.
true. Yeah, I mean, best practice, total best practice would be to get every single image trademarked.
Right.
But that's a little unrealistic.
Yeah.
Second best practice would be to do this process on every single image. That may or depending on how many images you post, that may or may not be realistic.
Right.
If you post selfie video or a selfie image of something,
Yeah.
again, if you're really concerned about this, you would probably want to talk to a lawyer.
Right.
But like I said, this has gotten me out of a few minor jams without it progressing to any sort of legal issue.
Ooh.
So I think it's a good common sense rule.
It's a good common sense rule.
Now, this will not help with if you want images to appear in Google search.
Yeah.
This does not touch like SEO type of stuff and images being attributed to your website. This is for images that are basically not on your website, that maybe you're sharing via social, you're sharing somewhere else outside of your website, that you want to have some sort of proof of that you published them first. They originated with you.
Now, the photos that are on your website, let's say you want to share those on social media, blah, 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 blah. You just post them first on your website. Correct?
Yeah. Technically, yes. However, the kind of same issue applies is just because something is published on your website doesn't mean there's a record that it's been published on your website. You'd probably want to use the same tool, the web.archive.org snapshot tool, and make a snapshot of it.
Oh.
But yes, if you post how websites often say, like at the bottom, all images and text copyright.
Yeah.
So. You don't really need that text. The simple fact that you published it on your own website is proof that it's yours.
Interesting.
And I don't think that putting that statement there alone, as far as I know, is not any sort of legal proof or guarantee or anything. It's just,
if you know otherwise, let us know.
Yes. I think it's just kind of meant to be like as a warning to people, hey, don't steal my images because I'm watching.
Right. So my question is, if you do something similar to Spider Monkey, Mad Mini, Honeybook, is that what I use? No, I don't use. There's another one.
Those are CRM. Those are CRM and email marketing tools.
Yeah, email marketing tools. Okay. If I put a photo on that and then put it on social media, am I covered, or I still should just do the little snapshot thing?
So you're emailing a photo to someone, either a person or a list?
If I do, we call them newsletters. If I do a newsletter and I send it and I put a picture in there, and then I use that same picture on Instagram.
I would do the same thing. If you're emailing a photo, I think the chances of it being stolen are less. I mean, fewer people are people receiving your newsletter going to steal it and use it somewhere else? Or?
No.
Yeah.
So
it's probably less of an issue or a potential issue. I mean, but yes, this is like, I know this is kind of a pain, and everybody's busy and creating an extra sort of step to do. It's bothersome. If you have any sort of assistant or virtual assistant or anything, like this is a very kind of, it's a simple task. Like
I need to
anybody.
Get one of those. Yeah. So my next question, is, so I use PickTime, and hopefully there will be an affiliate link for that somewhere on this site. I really like them. I actually prefer them to PixieSet, which I had been using for a really long time. So that's what I use to share my images with my clients, et cetera, and people can download if they've purchased them or order additional prints, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
If I put that up there, Is that safe because I put them up first, or do they then own that image?
I don't really know. Ideally, you want to have proof that you put this on your domain. So if your Pixie set domain is Meredith's Dinner meredithsdinnerphotography.pixieset.com, that's really not proof that PicTime. Sorry, that's not proof that you own it. That's their domain. If you are using one of their subdomains things like pictime.meredithsdinnerphotography.com, then that might be better. This blog thing is a little more definitive. And again, PicTime and PixieSet, they probably have, I'm sure that they have a legal team. I'm sure that this is in their terms of service. I'm sure this issue has been considered. So I don't know. I can't speak to what their terms and policies are.
Okay. Just wondering.
But if a common sense approach would be like, there would be some way to prove that, yes, you uploaded that image on a certain date.
Right.
I would think.
Right.
But those are, if you have say you have 100 client images from a session, and you're going to share them with that family.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry. You don't need to take those images and do this step unless you're also going to share them on social, on your blog or something. Mm-hmm. Those are private. Like when you send a gallery to a client, those are password protected, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So those are totally private. Okay. If your client wants to take those images and put them somewhere, that's up to them.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
No. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And what are we going to talk about?
Something amazing.
Probably.
Something so special, we can't even share it.
Yeah.
Or just
I have it written down somewhere, just not in front of me.
It's okay.
Anyway, tune in and be
Thank you.
surprised.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. We really hope that you find this helpful and useful. And if you do, what you could do for us as a thanks would be to, drumroll please, yes, leave a review. Yes, everybody says it, I know, but it really does make a difference. Take 3 seconds, leave as many stars, say something really nice about what you like about the podcast and maybe why other people would like it. It would mean the world to us, especially my husband. That better? All right, I'm going to try one where I'm not going to be charming.